everyone, and welcome to Busybird Publishing. This is our Wednesday live, talking about anything to do with books and publishing.
Books, really?
Yeah. My name is Blaise Van Heck.
And I'm Leslie Gamanis.
So we are going to first highlight two books, as we do each week. The first one is High Heel Investor, Money Made Simple by Liz Trotter. What I like about this book is it is a book to help women with their finances, to get control of their money. I'm going to read you the back blurb. Stressed about today's money? Habits need to change. Energize your fabulous future. Learn about money basics while laughing your way into a fabulous future. Is it time to strut your stuff to get the best out of life? Liz Trotter's 3 simple ways for you to step into your she future will have you busting stress, making new habits and laughing all the way to the bank. No more money taboo. Written by a woman for women to help women. You are only 3 steps away from your she future. What I like about this, Les, is, and I don't know about you at school, but did you learn anything about money?
I still don't know anything about money.
I don't think I do either. So I think this is a really, really good resource for women, but possibly even for men. So Liz published this late last year. Liz is in Adelaide, and I think that's a really good resource. And Liz was the 2017 Stevie Silver winner for Women in Business. And what have you got?
And I have, I'm sorry if I don't get this quite right, Isam Bikir, Rebel Doctor. This is a memoir. And reading the blurb, there's a quote: "We had no idea how my brother had been executed. Not until later, when we saw the thick blue line scoured into his neck." And the blurb itself: "Jets screaming low over the roof of his home and deadly missiles streaking into Baghdad were some of Isam Bikir's earliest memories. After tragedy took his father and his sister far too soon, Isam resolved to lift himself out of the slums of Baghdad to become a doctor. At just 27 years of age, he saved one of Baghdad's most prestigious university hospitals from destruction. And in the aftermath of his brother's execution, Isam made the wrenching decision to leave his family in Iraq and immigrated to Australia. Rebel Doctor is the story of a young man rising up against poverty, violence and corruption of Baghdad to realise a dream, to heal instead of harm." And that's a really good example of someone whose story can actually be used to inspire others. And maybe we haven't all had the tumult, I don't want to say excitement because that's the wrong word, but maybe we haven't had all something as tumultuous as Isam had growing up. But we all have stories that can connect with people and help people. So I think that's a really good book.
I think also something like that is, we all have different adversity in our lives. Some more, obviously, that's more extreme than others. But I think it's really good to have stories where we can see that people overcome their adversity.
Yeah.
Isam is now a doctor in a country town, and he's made a new life in a new country. When there's a lot of talk about refugees and people coming to the country and not making the most of these new opportunities, and yet there are lots of people who we don't know about, and so these stories can really connect us.
And it's just also a really good example of someone who came out of adversity and was constructive with what he wanted to do. So I mean, a lot of people can go the other way, so it's a credit to Isam that, as he says, his dream is to heal.
Yep, in 2 ways, as a doctor and maybe through his story.
I always think buyers can connect. There's always a lot of people say, "Oh, I don't have anything that's happening in my life. My life's not that interesting." But I always think everyone's got a story to tell, and it'll actually connect with people because there's readerships out there for everything. Especially if you look at, I don't want to sort of badmouth some books, but some books which have become bestsellers and that, and you look at them and you think, geez, that became a hit. So there's obviously a market out there for it. There's a market out there for someone like that. Surely there's a market out there for pretty much any story you could possibly imagine.
Yeah. And and you know, there's that old saying that everyone has at least one book in them. And actually, someone asked me, where was I? I was somewhere the other day where someone asked me, I think it was on the radio. They asked me, does everyone have at least one book in them? And I said yes, and they said, but should they tell it? And I think yes, but you have to. Not everyone knows how to tell it, so sometimes they need help.
Yeah.
And that's where, you know, being in a writing group or having a writing buddy or doing workshops and things like that can really help. Do you agree?
Doing one of our workshops.
Or coming to Bali with us in June.
To do some of our workshops.
So, very different books, aren't they? But both very useful and I think ways for people to connect with each other. Both published last year. So 2 of our books that we're highlighting. What else should we talk about today?
So what are we doing in Bali?
What are we doing in Bali? We are going to be helping people to write their book. And if they sign up for our gold package, they can actually write and publish their book.
Cool.
Sounds good, doesn't it?
Yep.
And have massages.
While doing the workshops?
Well, maybe in between.
Okay.
So, we came up with 5 reasons to do the book.
They'll be going on social media in the next week.
Social media.
Yep.
What would you say, what would be number 1 reason that you think people should do the writing retreat?
Hang around with me. Number 1 would be immersion in, it's a balance. 1, a lot of people want to write, but they don't know how to go about it. So one of the best ways is doing workshops or any form of schooling education where you can talk to people who've been there and done that. I mean, we're both published authors, overseen publication of 400 books, both editors, and from experience we've learned that once you put yourself in an environment, that's when you really learn. That's when you really improve and you get fast-tracked. It's like our fellowship where you get people like Angus Watson who he was a young writer, but when he got into the fellowship, because he was hanging around with people who'd been in this industry for decades, he learnt a lot quicker and he developed and evolved a lot quicker than he would have if he was just sitting on the periphery. You know, I started writing when I was 16. I think Angus did about 20 years of development in the time it took me to, you know, it took him 2 years to make advances that I took 20 years to make.
Yeah.
Sorry, explain that really about,
So, and actually, I just talked to someone this morning who's about to start his publishing of his book, and he said it's taken him 8 years to write it.
Yep.
And I said, well, that is actually quite normal. But if you have someone or a group of people, you know, it's about finding a community that you can hang out with. If you have people who are keeping you accountable and egging you on and hassling you about it, you can actually get it done, you know, in a third of the time or a quarter of the time.
Yeah, and with Bali, you know, we did some of the more advanced planning last week. So we will actually do a pre-planning package before we actually step. Bustle of your life. You get to just chill out, relax for a little while.
Yep.
Everyone should be spoiling themselves every now and again.
Yep.
You get the writing workshops, which are going to be intensive. You get to hang out with us and talk to us. And I'd like to think we know our stuff. Or
Well, we don't think it, we do know.
Okay, you're a little bit more confident than me.
Well, we've been helping people for a long time.
Yep. And you know, after Bali's done, we'll actually follow up with authors to make sure they're continuing with their writing and following whatever structure they put in place in Bali. So, I mean, it's a really good package in terms of, it's not just about Bali, about that 1 week. We'll actually do work beforehand and afterward to make sure that writers are following a path that's going to help them lead to the completion of their book.
Yeah. Cool. Sounds fun. Exciting.
Yeah, I might sign up and not go as an employee.
Okay, so today I'm going on a road trip.
You're hitting the road.
I am hitting the road.
What's it done to
in
you?
a little orange card.
Yeah, it's not little.
And so tonight I'm going to be at the Geelong Riders group. And
Is it in Geelong?
It is in Geelong.
Okay.
Funny about that, isn't it?
And it's a group of riders.
And I'll be talking to them about publishing. Tomorrow night I'll be at Blarney's Books and Art in Port Fairy, and various other, I think there's eight events altogether over the next week, and they will be up on our, probably on social media as well as on our website, if anyone is interested. What tip can we give people this week?
My tip would be expose yourself to new experiences, because if you just stay in that little bubble, you're just sitting at home writing and that's all you're doing, you'll never improve outside of that bubble. You'll always just stay there. So once you actually get exposure, you start learning new things, you get challenged, it forces you to evolve.
I think too, for a lot of people who are writing, they may never have shared their work with anyone.
No.
And that might be stopping them from taking that next step. Would you think that?
Oh, definitely. I mean, a lot of people, they lead this, a lot of writers lead this bizarre life where they want to write, but then they don't want to actually share it. So it's like, well, who are you writing for?
Well, it can be excruciatingly scary to actually put it out there, because that makes it real.
Yeah, I mean, that's why it's important to find the right people to actually connect with, and not just sort of, you know, if you're a poet, there's no point joining a writing group that's full of business people.
Yep.
So it's about finding the right people. It's about finding people who challenge you and people who will give you feedback that's constructive, and the people who are still on that same wavelength. Because you get a lot of workshop groups where a writer might be writing romance, someone else might be writing fantasy, and the romance author just doesn't get the fantasy because that's something they don't write. So it's actually really important to find people who can give you feedback regardless of what you're writing, because they're actually just looking at the project of what you're trying to do and where you're trying to get, rather than thinking about it and go, I just don't get this. Which might have nothing to do with the writing, which might have to do with their own knowledge of their own readership.
Well, my tip this week is about actually prioritising your writing as something that's important, because I was at my writing group on Sunday and we were all making our kind of goals for the year, and we were actually talking about, you know, a couple of the members I don't know, they feel like they're not that excited about writing at the moment, and we said, well, you know, it's good to have a project, and it's good to actually think, okay, this is something that is really important in my life, and, you know, actually make it a priority, you know, part of your week where you write every day, even if it's only 15 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing too is, I know writers who's, you know, saying it's not work and they don't feel excited about it. It's like, you're not going to feel excited about it all the time. You know, so I mean, it's probably unhelpful advice, but you just need to push through that and learn to write when you don't feel excited, when you don't feel into it, because that's when you actually get into the frame of mind of just getting down on paper whatever is way back there in your head, buried under all the responsibilities and day-to-day life, humdrum and stuff like that.
I think too, though, that people, I kind of think that writing is a waste of time, or if you're not earning money from it, it's, I don't know, it's just, you know, you're just being spoiled.
It's an indulgence,
Indulgence,
But everyone has indulgences, you know. It takes different forms. People have hobbies, they garden, they collect stamps, or they just sit back and watch something like Married at First Sight, and that's their indulgence. But, you know, you're not making money from watching Married at First Sight.
True.
But you're allowing people just to say, I'm just chilling out, that's why I'm watching it. I just want to turn my brain off for an hour and watch something like this. I mean, I always classify writing as the same thing. I mean, the problem is because it's part hobby, but part aspiration. And people are looking at it and thinking, well, if you're writing, you probably have a professional expectation that you're going to sell books. And then they impose that upon a hobby. And it's like, well, you know, I write because I want to write. And it shouldn't be just about some financial remuneration. It should be, I write because that makes me feel good, and I have a story I want to tell, and eventually I want to try and get it out into the world. But really, I love for the passion. I write for the passion and the love of it.
Cool.
So that's my rant.
That's Les's wisdom for the week. So, thanks everyone for listening.
Wait, just before you go, Sam read on open mic night last week. She did great. How do you feel, Sam? They can't see you from behind the camera.
Feel great. Feel great.
Okay.
Okay, and I'll be on the road next week, so we'll have to work out. I'll probably be live on the road, or
We'll
Les
do
will
a satellite cross.
Maybe you and Oscar could do a live.
Okay.
Maybe Sam could be on the live.
Oh, Sam, definitely.
I know she's not looking too excited about that idea. Maybe Kev can do a live next week.
Yeah, 15 minutes of dad jokes.
Yeah, maybe not. Okay,
It'll be 30
see you
minutes.
later,
Do two
everybody.
hours. See ya.